Today, we will cover all about Cardano. So Cardano has been one of the altcoins that have been the most requested on the channel, but it just takes a lot of time to get into this coin. And I really wanted to prepare as much deep dive research as I can to give you guys a fair overview and review of Cardano and my opinions on it. So first things first, I just want to clarify. So unlike what the title says, where, Cardano reaching $5 potentially. So there are a lot of wild, price predictions for Cardano. People say it can reach $5 to $10. So I think Cardano is a strong coin, but it's currently not in my long-term portfolio, as I believe it won't necessarily outperform the top market leaders in this space. However, I also think Cardano gets a lot of flack, and it's compared in a not really fair way to other layer 1 blockchains, because Cardano is not really designed in the same way, in the same playing ground. So we'll cover everything in depth today when it comes to, not only Cardano compared to the likes of Ethereum and its competitors, but also what Cardano does uniquely that something Ethereum can't even do. And really, what is Cardano all about? If you are even bullish on Cardano long term, what is the potential of it that really sets it apart that Ethereum and other blockchains cannot do? Okay, so that's on the agenda for today. If you guys are new here to the channel, welcome. My name is Dennis. I'm a crypto angel investor for the past 5 years. I now have invested in over 100 crypto companies. Here on this channel, I share my views on market trends and investing strategy to build wealth in crypto. Okay, let's get right into this. So I want to show you guys a few things to start. So really quick overview of what Cardano is, right? So Cardano is this alternative layer 1 for smart contracts, for decentralized applications. And on the face level, it looks very familiar to Ethereum. It's a layer 1 that supports smart contracts. So you can do DeFi applications, you can do gaming applications, you can do NFTs, etc., DAO governance, payment, etc. A few different things about Cardano. It uses a programming language called Haskell, which is much more formally verifiable versus Ethereum's Solidity smart contract language. So it's a little bit tougher to develop with because it's more organized, but it has better safety and security. Now, Cardano also has a very unique methodology in terms of development. A lot of people have heard of this, right? Cardano moves very slowly in their development life cycle. This is because Cardano doesn't really like to move fast and break things like other blockchains. Instead, they verify everything. They propose all of their upcoming upgrades and then formally verify them by using mathematical proofs before these changes are made into the blockchain. Now, there's kind of a first misconception here, which is that because of this format, Cardano moves very slowly in development. This isn't actually so true. So in terms of what Cardano has been able to achieve over the years, so if you look back to history, Cardano was actually the first blockchain to introduce proof of stake completely decentralized, where people can stake all they want. And they did this way back in July 2020, right? If you look at the Cardano Roadmap, this is their second roadmap update called Shelly. And way back then in 2020, Cardano was already fully proof of stake. Anyone can stake. So versus on Ethereum, well, they had staking very early, but it wasn't decentralized. You couldn't really withdraw. So on that front, it's really the focus of Cardano's current roadmap that sets the difference, right? They were very fast in developing proof of stake, and to this day, it functions really well. But when it comes to smart contract and scaling, and on top of that, getting DeFi adoption, they have been a bit slower than Ethereum and its competitors like Solana or Avalanche in terms of development in this cycle, right? So when we talk about 2021, 2022, Cardano was kind of late to the smart contract DeFi game. That is true. However, it doesn't really, it's more of a, what gets done first versus like they're not moving at all. They are indeed moving. Okay, and let's just quickly get into the comparison between all of the different blockchains. So here is a very, I have a comparison chart here actually. Let's see which one it is. This one. So in terms of actual comparison between Cardano versus the competitors, Cardano, it says here it's about 2 transactions per second, but today it's right around 10 to 20. It's very similar to Ethereum's scalability in terms of how many transactions it can handle per second. Now, this is very slow, right? Obviously, it's slower than Solana, Avalanche, or even any other layer 2. Most of these other metrics don't really matter. I think what really matters here, the other metric is the number of nodes count. So Cardano is actually one of the most decentralized cryptos out there. I would even say it's number 3 in terms of decentralization. So number 1, Bitcoin, number 2, Ethereum, number 3, Cardano. By most metrics, by number of unique validators, different number of nodes, how many different wallets actually participate in staking, Cardano definitely ranks among top 3 most decentralized. And that's a big feat, actually. You see here, they have over 3,000 nodes. And when you look at actual block producers, right, just some stats here. So each of these nodes are technically staking pools that people stake together. But all of these pools actually are block producers, right? So when you see here, let's see, where is, I guess, current Epic, there are total around 2.8 thousand staking pools. And over 1,000 of them are block producing stake pools, which means all of these guys are contributing and validating actual transactions. This is very, very high of a number. And here is another metric, right? Out of those 2,800 staking pools, there are a total of over 1.3 million different Cardano users that delegate their stake, that delegate their ADA to these pools. So these are all unique stakers. This is actually very high. So comparing this number with Ethereum, the individual number of stakers on Cardano is actually way higher than that of Ethereum. So Ethereum only has about 88,000 unique wallets participating in staking natively, versus Cardano, it's over 1.3 million. Now, obviously, there's a huge catch there, which is on the Cardano side, you are going through staking pools, right? On Ethereum side, you can natively stake quite easily. However, you need 32 Ethereum in order to become an actual validator. So that's why this number is a lot harder to get wide adoption. So that's the caveat there. Versus on Cardano, there's not a minimum required amount to stake. Okay, so that's on the 2 metrics that are really important, which is transactions per second and decentralization based on how many nodes. Now, the other part of comparing Cardano to other blockchains is their transaction fees. So a lot of people say, people don't really use Cardano, etc. I just want to show you guys really direct here. So let's use Cardano and see what's going on. So I am not new to Cardano, right? So I really wanted Cardano to succeed in their first DeFi wave. If you have been following the channel for long, so in over 1 year ago, when Cardano first published their smart contract layer and they started supporting smart contracts, the first decentralized exchange that launched on Cardano was SundaeSwap. And I even made a video about this over 1 year ago. You see here, this was January 2022. Oh, so almost 2 years. And we covered, the Cardano SundaeSwap farming. We covered how to trade on it, the SundaeSwap token. But back then, when the token actually launched, it was way too much traffic for Cardano to handle. And to trade on SundaeSwap on day one, I remember this. I tried to farm, I tried to buy SundaeSwap token early. And unlike on Uniswap, right, when I try to buy Sunday token, it wouldn't go through for like a day because the network was so congested and it was really bad. And this was the main kind of flood event that turned everyone off for early days Cardano DeFi. So this was January 2022. Now, fast forward to today, we are in November 2023. How is the market and how is the performance right now? So let's take a look, right? So here we have the DeFi ecosystem on Cardano. You see, currently it has $250 million in total value locked. Decently respectable. When you look at all of the different blockchains out there. When you rank by total value locked, right, you see Cardano ranks number 13. Not bad, right? It's number of amount of asset wise, it's not that high. It's around like a second tier layer 2 level. It's even below, base layer 2, for example. And in terms of actual users, active addresses, Cardano has around 46,000 active daily addresses versus it's pretty similar to like Optimism or Base, right? This is kind of where it's at, number 11. Okay, and then when you look at Cardano ecosystem, here you see they have pretty much all of the main building blocks of a DeFi ecosystem. So they have a CDP, which is the stablecoin issuer, like a MakerDAO. They have one very large decentralized exchange called MinSwap. We're going to try this. They have another stablecoin, bunch of lending protocols, bunch more swaps. They even have RWA protocol. So overall, looking okay. So that's on face level. So let's try it, right? In order to use Cardano, the wallet I use is called Nami Wallet, Nami. You can just Google Nami Wallet and you can try this out. So it functions just like an extension. And here you see MinSwap. This is the top decentralized exchange on Cardano. And when you can launch app. And this is the app. And you see here, very similar interface, right? You can trade altcoins, like a swap interface. You can do liquidity pool, which is very similar to Uniswap. You can earn by depositing liquidity pool positions into these farms and earn extra yield. That's it. Very simple. You also have staking on this interface. So let's try this, right? I have some ADA and I have connected my Nami wallet here. And let's just see. So I'm going to spend some ADA. I already bought some MinSwap token before. Let me try to buy something else. So let's say I want to buy this MELD token, for example. Let's buy 100 ADA worth of MELD. You see here, shows the price impact, everything very similar to Uniswap. Click swap. Okay, click swap. Slippage difference, not that high. Price impact really good, actually 0.01%. So I'm getting a good price. Confirm swap. Sign the transaction. Confirm it. Right. And you see, okay, here's the first caveat. So it will say transaction successful. And when I look on the Explorer, it will say that I have spent this amount, but the balance will not update immediately. So it takes, I would say, a couple minutes before it updates. You can see here, we can try to refresh this page. So you see right away, right? It's definitely not as instantaneous as the Ethereum layer 2 or Solana or Avalanche. I would say it's about twice as long of a settlement time as Ethereum, because on Ethereum, usually I would expect maybe 1 minute. So versus on Cardano here, you see it still hasn't settled, right? I still haven't gotten my balance. So we'll give it a couple more minutes. But before we do that, let's just look at this transaction, right? So this transaction spent a fee of 7 cents, right? Which is 0.2 ADA. Not bad. So 7 cents for a swap is about the same as a swap on Arbitrum, for example. A swap on Avalanche will be similar as well. But it's definitely a lot more expensive than things like Solana, for example. So I would say Cardano's transaction fee is about a little bit higher than Ethereum layer 2. Definitely much cheaper than Ethereum layer 1, but not the cheapest. So I think it's acceptable, but how did this scale as a very hyper scalable thing? That is questionable. So that's where I'll put Cardano's transaction fees. So here you see, it even shows my orders, right? So I have done 2 swaps before, so it shows this order, and this is still queuing, right? We will wait to see when I can get my tokens. Yeah, so you see, like, we have elapsed probably 3 minutes, still haven't gotten my tokens. So the settlement time, very slow. Transaction, which means like transaction speed, quite slow. Transaction fees, pretty cheap. So that's what I'll say for Cardano DeFi. Now, is it unusable for DeFi? No, it's totally usable, right? This is fine. I had to wait a little bit. Oh, you see this meld transaction completed after, it says here 1 minute, but it probably took like 3 minutes realistically. And here you can see I have my meld token here. So is that really bad? You judge by yourself, right? I think this is acceptable. For DeFi, you do a transaction every couple of days. This is fine. Like it's okay. So I wouldn't say Cardano DeFi is not working anymore. It's way, way better than Sunday Swap early days in 2022. And if you are a DeFi user, after looking at this process, you will say, okay, this is fair, right? So that's my assessment on this. Okay, moving on from DeFi side, let's look at a couple more things. So we talked about the comparison between Cardano and different chains. Now, what is the really upcoming for Cardano that is important? What sets it apart really? So for this, we have to go back to the Cardano roadmap here. The current stage of Cardano is that we are kind of in between stage 3 and stage 4. So stage 3 is pretty much complete, which is the Goguin phase, where smart contracts are fully functional. This is why, we just tried the DeFi stuff, works quite well, right? Now we are in phase 4, which is called Basho, focused on scaling. So this part is when Cardano, we really have to get the TPS up there, get the transaction fees low. And the main initiatives that Cardano is working on in this phase are the following. So the number one thing in terms of scaling for Cardano right now are two things. So number one is this Mithril mainnet upgrade. So Mithril is not so much scaling the transactions directly, but more so making it that the more people can participate, more stakers can participate by just having a stake and using how much they staked in a signature scheme so that they can choose to vote on things. So this is the Mithril mainnet upgrade that many people most likely have heard of. This, I believe, has just completed this summer. It is on mainnet. It's working well. Now, the main event that is in phase 4 for scaling is called Hydra. So Hydra is the Cardano layer 2 solution that they claim can handle up to 1 million transactions per second. Now, obviously, that sounds like a very big number. How does it work? Is this real? I'll draw your attention to this diagram, right? So this is essentially how Hydra works. So Hydra, very briefly, it's a layer 2 and it's very similar to a state channel, or very similar to Lightning Network on Bitcoin, for example. So the point of this and how it works is that down here, you have the main Cardano chain and the blocks. And in order to scale this and have more transactions happening outside of the main chain, what you do is you have this like second layer of individual settlement between different parties. So you see here, first you have a party with channels and a multi-sig getting established. Then the participants, right, they each get a token, and then they basically issue their own subledger, or you can call this a state channel, where they can transact multiple times, outside of the main chain. And then once they are happy and they want to close their channel, then they commit all of their final balances back to the main chain, right? So when you look at this, and if you're familiar with Lightning Network, this is very similar. So this is essentially what Hydra is. So the fact that they called it Hydra with this like multi-headed approach is because they plan to have many of these parallel channels, right? So you see here, multiple channels in parallel. And in order to get to the 1 million transactions per second, the math they did is that on one of their simulations, they said that the current Hydra head can process about 1,000 transactions per second. If you have 1,000 transactions per second in each of the parallel channels, and you can support up to 1,000 individual channels. Then altogether, that brings 1,000 times 1,000. It's 1 million transactions per second. So that's how they come to this conclusion of 1 million transactions per second. It's not really a protocol native level 1 million transactions per second. That is still very limited. It's also not one layer that everybody can transact together. It's more like 1,000 smaller layer 2s all handling subsets of transactions in order to make it 1,000 times 1,000 equals to 1 million. So this is Cardano Hydra, and this is the main thing they are working on in phase 4 Bashel. Okay, now Hydra is really not live yet. I don't have the full timeline on this. It seems like they're working on this really hard, and they have even proposed this way back before. I think by the end of this bull market, Hydra would be complete in the next year or two, and we should be moving into the last phase, which is Voltaire, so the Cardano governance module. So we'll cover that after. So that's where Cardano is today. Okay, now, after looking at all of this, you might say, okay, like Cardano, it seems like they are just implementing things that people have already done. Now, that is true if you compare Cardano's DeFi adoption, layer 2 technology, etc., to other chains like Ethereum and Ethereum layer 2s. Yes, it's kind of not very different. But there is one sector that Cardano really sets themselves apart, and that is decentralized governance. So when you look at all the initiatives that Cardano have taken and their design choices, right? When you look at things like how Cardano just really wants everyone to be able to stake and participate. They want as many staking pools as possible, all producing blocks. They have a very peer-reviewed and decentralized development approach. They have the last phase of their development roadmap specifically dedicated to governance. And they have this upcoming roadmap called CentralNet, which is essentially a new mainnet upgrade that will allow every holder of ADA tokens to wield the power of voting and to actually craft and submit governance proposals on the main network. So you see here on the upcoming, governance tools called CentralNet. Here you can see they will try to allow every single ADA holder to submit governance actions, right, to vote on SPOs, which is the staking pools. They can even later on submit hard fork governance action, right? They can, and they all vote together to enact a hard fork. So this is actually a very radical, very heavily decentralized voting. And I would even say this is even, when it comes to like making decisions, this is even more decentralized than Bitcoin and Ethereum, because when you think about a hard fork, right? So a Bitcoin hard fork, it's driven by the mining hash power, but when it comes to which hard fork the miners support, they don't really have a choice because mining is so concentrated in mining pools and exchanges and institutions. So even if you actively mine Bitcoin, you cannot really choose to say, I vote with Bitcoin or I vote with Bitcoin Cash, because most of the pools, they will just like collude together and pick one. And usually, they will make right choices, but who's to say, we won't have another Bitcoin Cash come up? And this has happened before. So this is why, when it comes to Cardano, actually having all token holders being vote on these things, I would even say the governance side is more decentralized than Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, how useful is that today? Not really. It's not really that useful. Nobody really cares about DAO governance, decentralized voting, etc. That's not a very popular narrative today. But this is the unique angle that Cardano thinks that they will succeed in. And if DAOs and on-chain governance, on-chain tracking of government officials and entities and resources become a big narrative, Cardano will be one of the only players in this sector. So this is the unique angle that Cardano has. And I just want to play you this clip here from Charles Hoskinson, the founder of Cardano, directly, so you can get a sense of what I mean here. So here.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
Let's start with the subject of decentralization. Why do you think we need a more decentralized world?
We want to live in a global society, and if you want to live in a global society, one of the first things you don't want is for one actor in that global society to have complete control over critical things, resources. That can be energy, your identity, supply chains, your food. That can be water. You don't really want a situation where one actor is in charge of that whole show, because what they can do is say, hey, I don't like you, Brian, so I'm just going to cut off your power or your water or your access to the internet or these types of things. We see that, for example, with events in Yemen or in Ethiopia or other places. Certain people are not really so favored, and now all of a sudden, like, a wall's been basically built around them, and they have no access to basic things. Or what Russia's trying to do in Ukraine, for example, especially during the beginning part of the invasion. So the point of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology is they take those resources that should be kind of a public good, and if they're digitizable, get them into a situation where they're completely open, and basically then build businesses on top of that. But the underlying infrastructure is no longer controlled.
Do you think we're coming?
So that sets this kind of vision, right? Cardano, especially from Charles Hoskinson, he believes cryptocurrency can be used and blockchains can be used much more in decentralized governance and decentralized social constructs and essential, government resources and tracking of taxation and where that tax money is being spent. Listen to this.
Do you still see that decentralization, it works on, globally and for lots of different sectors, but there are still areas that don't need to be decentralized because, like, the centralized legacy systems are working fine?
If we're talking about energy resources, water resources, information resources, your ability to express yourself or interface with the marketplace, it's dangerous at a social scale that a small group of unelected people could have a fundamental control over that and be able to completely decide whether you're legitimate or not. Because you piss those people off, they basically just disappear you from society and destroy your ability to express yourself. So really, it's a case-by-case basis. But what's nice about it is you can always go in one direction. It's very easy to go from decentralization to centralization. It's much harder to go in the other direction, from centralization to decentralization. So my view is take the foundational stuff and make that all decentralized. And then what you do is you add layers of centralization in.
How many countries in the world are actually considering this at this moment in time?
A lot have. For example, the concept of a digital government. Estonia has been one of the world leaders there. The country of Georgia is also pursuing it. There's a lot of work in Singapore. In the United States, states like Wyoming are starting to, they even have like digital agency for DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. They passed 31 blockchain laws in the last 3 years. So I'd say probably another 5 to 10 years before the world moves in that direction. But blockchain is a very powerful thing, and almost every country has done some form of pilot for a blockchain-based system to store these types of things. It really comes down to, are you going to do it in a permissionless way or a permission way? In other words, will the country control the ledger, or will that ledger be an open global ledger? And we've seen countries explore both. They've used Ethereum and Bitcoin. Others have used Fabric from Hyperledger and Corda and so forth. That said, big Fortune 500 companies are prepping.
So that's basically you get the gist now. So instead of tackling purely DeFi and financialization and cryptocurrency payments, etc., Charles Hoskinson really believes Cardano can be used in things like digital government, on-chain voting, really well-established voting standards, right, with token holders, and they actually matter. So this is why, the last phase of Cardano is all focused on decentralized governance. Now, will this be sexy? Will this be an interesting narrative? Will this be widely adopted? That's hard to say. I think we're very early on that. And we have seen a couple examples. So for instance, Cardano has a initiative with the Ethiopia government. So the Ethiopia government has established a, what's it called? Their education prime minister and their education board had a partnership with Cardano to put, I believe, 24 schools, so over 20 schools, and their student IDs and their essentially report cards, their tracking of their grades onto the Cardano public blockchain. This is the initiative that they started last year, And this year, I would say it's almost complete. So see over 5 million students and 750,000 teachers to get blockchain IDs in Ethiopia. Now, when you compare this kind of announcement to today's things like, a Polygon with Nike, doing NFTs, or Ethereum doing like staking and big money, JP Morgan, this is kind of a different vibe, right? It's very, very different, very decentralized, very like the governance side, social constructs, social issues side. So take this how you will. This is the fact. And they are also working on initiatives with Estonia, with Singapore. So this is the main direction that they are bullish on long term, and this is where they're working towards. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't really have a strong opinion on whether this like decentralized governance like narrative and sector is like it will catch on or not in this cycle. I don't know, but at least it's unique, right? Versus like, you guys know my opinion on Ethereum alternatives. You are either doing DeFi and you're becoming an Ethereum layer 2, or you have to radically be something different. Otherwise, your layer 1 will not succeed, right? This is why I think Solana is cool, because Solana is hyper scalable, right? Zero cost potentially. That's something Ethereum and its layer 2s cannot do. For things like gaming, social, ICP, also very, very, very unique, and something Ethereum cannot replicate. It cannot be replicated on Ethereum, even though Ethereum can cover most things. So when it comes to these radically decentralized governance where every single token holder can vote, I don't see Ethereum getting there anytime soon. And if we actually have digital governments, Cardano is a bit ahead. So if you like this concept, Cardano could be in your lane. So that's why I'll leave it there. Okay. So those are the main milestones and things to be excited about for Cardano. Now, let me get into the potential, right? Investment potential, price side. What do I see this? Where do I see Cardano in the next cycle? So Cardano, luckily, because it's been around since forever, the tokenomics for Cardano is actually really good. So when you look at Cardano today, the circulating supply of Cardano is at 34.9 billion and 45 billion total supply. And when you look at the tokenomics and you zoom into this chart here, you see the inflation is only coming from the staking rewards now, this yellow part of the chart. And when you look at where the supply will lead to by the end of this bull run, that leaves right around the middle here. So right around 35 billion, which is honestly very little growth, right? From current 34.9 billion. So is this true? Well, you can cross-check this, right? Here is the most popular, staking tracker platform, staking rewards. And you see here, the annual inflation rate for Cardano is at 2.57%. So from now until end of 2025, we're looking at 6%, let's say, total inflation, which means, you take 349 times 1.06, you get 36.9 billion. So let's say 37 billion tokens by the in the next 2 years. So that's totally fine, right? That's really barely any inflation because majority of the tokens have been circulating. So let's take 37 billion as the circulating supply by the end of 2025. That's the first metric we need. Now, second metric is that where do I see Cardano's potential market cap landing at? So when you look at previous history of Cardano, its price peaked at right around $2.90-ish, and that gave it a market cap of around 90 billion. So when you take that same price, $2.86 times 37 billion, that gives you $105 billion if we are to reach the previous all-time high. Is that high? And is that possible? So in my opinion, firstly, not in my opinion, right? This is the fact, which is that in order to reach $100 billion in market cap for any coin, it has to be a top 5 coin. This is usually how the cycles are. And for all of my price predictions, for all of the different altcoins out there, I have used these metrics, right? So top 10 is around 70 billion market cap. Top 5 will be around 100 billion market cap. So in order for Cardano to reach its previous all-time high of $2.86, that will be 105 billion market cap, and Cardano will need to be at least top 5 in ranking. Is that realistic? I think it's less likely. So I think there are a ton of strong competitors out there. Obviously, we have Bitcoin, Ethereum. I think Binance Coin might fall out of the top 5. Again, among the other top 10s, we have like XRP is super competitive. One of the stable coins will be super competitive. You have things like Solana. And then potentially there's maybe something super breakout this cycle, right? So the top 10 will be the top 5 will be very fierce because there are only 5 spots. And if you exclude the Bitcoin and Ethereum, there are only 3 spots, right? So can Cardano be there? I think I'm personally leaning on the less likely. Now, what is a more realistic price prediction for Cardano for me? So I think Cardano, like in a very optimistic scenario, I think it can remain in the top 10. So let's just say Cardano remains top 9, top 10. That would be around a 70 billion market cap. No matter what you think, just bear with me here. A lot of people will think, Cardano doesn't belong in this spot, but let's just entertain that, if it is very optimistic, Cardano stays at top 10 and gives it a 70 billion market cap. Then at a 70 billion market cap with a 37 billion supply by the end of 2025, that gives us a price of 2.5. No, not. I did here. Divide. That gives us a price of $1.89 per Cardano. That I think is a number I can get behind. So if I were very bullish on Cardano, I would say between $1.90 to like $2 range. I think that's fair. I think we can get there. So, let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, if you think this is too bullish, too bearish. Okay, so with that number in mind, what does that translate to for current price performance, right? So we have Cardano current price 38.8 cents. That gives us about a 4.8x return. So that is kind of underwhelming for me, right? Because if you guys have been following my other price predictions, right? When I looked at Bitcoin, so my whole plan and price target for Bitcoin is around 200K by the end of 2025, which is around 6x from current price, 5.5x from current price. And for Ethereum, I actually have a target of $15,000, which is 7x from $2,000 right now. So when you take those numbers and then you look at Cardano, which is at 4.87x to a realistic target that we have, that is kind of not worth it, right? And even if you're super bullish and you think Cardano can reach its previous all-time high and you think Cardano will be top 5 coin, so you take 2.86 divided by 0.388, that's still only 7.37x, which is slightly underperforming my expectation for Ethereum. So this is why I don't have Cardano in my portfolio today. Do I think it will go up in price? Yeah, it's one of the most well-known established coins. It has a huge community, 1.3 million different wallets, right? 2,000 staking pools, all producing blocks, fanatic community, so many retail token holders. It's a strong coin. It can probably do a 4, 5, even 6x this cycle. I could see that. But my baseline for all altcoins in this cycle is that they need to outperform Ethereum. So they need to do at least 8-9x for it to be worth it. And because I don't see Cardano doing an 8-9x from current price, that's why I don't have Cardano in my portfolio today. I'm not bearish on it. I just don't think it's relatively underwhelming from today's price. And let me just like show you guys a last little bit of my history on Cardano. So I'm not new to Cardano by any means. If you guys follow me on TikTok back in the days, so these were my earliest TikTok videos, and you see one of my earliest altcoin plays was actually Cardano. So you see I was talking about Chainlink, in DeFi summer, and then here is where right around here I was getting into Cardano because Cardano. Here's why I think the cryptocurrency Cardano will be really bullish in July. Yeah, so this was when Cardano was in the proof of stake era. You see, this is June 2020, right before Shelly went live, and right before staking went live. Cardano is very similar to Ethereum. They try to accomplish the same thing. Yeah, so I really covered this, and I had like updates for Cardano up here, right up here. 3 updates for Cardano in a row, and we followed it all the way up, right? So way back in June 2020, right, when you look at this chart here, so Cardano was having this first run up, and it was like 7 cents, 8 cents, even 10 cents. That was very cheap in my opinion, and I covered this a lot. So Cardano really had a huge run because right from 10 cents all the way up to the cycle peak of $2.86, that's like 28x. So in 2021, Cardano was definitely worth it. In 2023, now that it's already at 36 cents, I don't think it's worth it anymore to have in my long-term portfolio in this cycle. So just to give you guys context there. Okay. So yeah, that's my whole shebang for today. Although I don't have Cardano in my portfolio, it is looking quite good. If you are a Cardano fan, I think everything is rallying, right? The market is going up, and Cardano actually just had its first golden cross. So when you look at Cardano price today on the daily time frame, so Cardano just had its bear market golden cross 2 weeks ago, and you guys know how I like to play these golden crosses. You buy at the golden cross, you sell at the death cross. Usually that yields quite a good profit. The biggest drawdown you have is minus 30%, but it makes you able to catch one of these huge waves, like in the 2020 to 2021 cycle, right? From here to here, golden cross, death cross. So this kind of a scenario is playing out, and Cardano price action is looking really good. So I think the uptrend is likely to continue, but I still don't have it in my portfolio today because I think it'll underperform Bitcoin and Ethereum, in my opinion. There is a upcoming Cardano ecosystem project that looks really good. Yeah, here. So Cardano has this privacy preserving side chain that they're launching called Midnight. This is directly by IOHK, the parent company behind Cardano. I think this could be an even better play if you are bullish on Cardano ecosystem. This stuff will be like super high quality because it's from the Cardano team. And I think this token is definitely worth watching. Privacy enabled sidechain for Cardano. This one should do well. So this is one that I am actually interested in. I don't know when it'll launch. I don't even know what price it'll launch at, but keep this in mind. Just watch this video through and see what you guys think about my personal opinion. Honestly, you guys could totally be right. Cardano maybe goes to $10 and I eat my words, and I'll just have to accept that, right? But for now, like in summary, I see Cardano like pretty fair, even a little bit optimistically at maybe $1.90, $2 by bull run peak, which is about 4.5x from current price. So that's kind of underwhelming compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's why I don't have it in my portfolio. I know a lot of people will say Cardano can go to 5 to 10 if you're a Cardano fan. I think that's very less likely because of tokenomics, because of how high the market cap will be. Cardano will have to be top 5, even top 3 coin, which is very hard. Can it happen? Yes, but I'm not counting on it. Hopefully I haven't pissed off too much of the Cardano community, but if I really missed anything, let me know down in the comments. I'm definitely not a expert in Cardano development, so let me know if I missed anything, or maybe, you know, I truly was wrong about something. Let me know, and I'll do more research after. Follow me on Twitter or X at virtualbacon0x. This is where I drop all of our quick daily alpha before I do these in-depth videos. When I do research, I tweet. And make sure to join our Discord, discord.gg/virtualbacon. This is where I drop all of my trade alerts, trade setups, altcoin alpha signals, the latest projects. You know, we talked about, you know, things like Superfarm, Superverse, which has done massively well this month. So make sure to join. We have a free VIP program. You just have to join one of our partner exchanges. And it has a really good discussion group as well in Discord. So check that out. And that's it. That's everything I have. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next video and next live stream. Cheers. Bye-bye.